Dave Canales, after 1 year and only 1 year as offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, becomes head coach of the Carolina Panthers. This was a job for which there was no clear frontrunner because people didn't know who was going to want to go work for David Tepper. And when you see the reports of a 6-year deal, teams give out 6-year deals when they're trying to change the narrative that we fire a lot of coaches and we're not stable and we're dysfunctional. Look at how Tepper has gone through coaches both with his football team and his soccer team, and it doesn't keep him from firing Canales during his first season if he chooses to, but he's going to owe him a lot of money if he does, Peter.
You know, a couple of observations here. Okay, so America doesn't know Dave Canales, and I don't know him either, really. But the one thing that I think, and I'm going to underline this word because you shouldn't use this word lightly, but the one thing I believe is urgent, capital U, capital R, Gent, is that David Tepper hands this team to this new head coach, and he says, I'm going to stay out of the way, and I want you to repair Bryce Young. Okay, but because let's just see, here's what you're thinking right now if you're Bryce Young. 9 months ago this week, you're Bryce Young. You were drafted to be a Carolina Panther. First pick in the draft 9 months ago. And at that time, your head coach is Frank Reich. Your offensive coordinator is Thomas Brown. Your offensive assistant, the cooking the broth is Jim Caldwell. Your quarterback coach is Josh McCown. So that happens, and that stays that way for most of the season. And then Frank Reich is the offensive play caller. Then he hands it to Thomas Brown. Then he takes it back. Then he gets fired. Thomas Brown takes play calling back. That's how you last the rest of the season. At the end of the season, everybody gets blown out. They're all gone. So now you have a new head coach. So you've done as much as you could to ruin the first pick in the draft. First, by not having a good enough offensive line to keep him from running for his life on every pass snap in 2023. But you've done enough to damage him in the absolute yo-yoing of a coaching staff and of play calling, of play designing. What you have to do right now is say to Dave Canales, listen, you're the guy, you pick the staff, you handle this guy, you repair the most important person in this franchise. This is your job. And that's what David Tepper had to do when he gave him the 6-year contract. It was a smart move. Quite frankly, it was the only move.
And Canales has the history of working with shorter quarterbacks. Russell Wilson in Seattle, Baker Mayfield this year in Tampa Bay, and now he's the guy who's going to be charged with fixing Bryce Young. And we'll see how it goes. You also take a little away from Tampa. You take away their offensive coordinator who worked very well with Baker Mayfield. They have to start over. That's a net gain for you as the Panthers if it works out. But we'll just see. Will it work out? Can Tepper truly take a step back? Can he truly stay out of it and let Dan Morgan, the new GM of the team, and Canales, the new head coach, work together without Tepper constantly interfering? I know he means well, but sometimes the best thing you can do is to do nothing. The one thing we are all capable of doing, nothing. He needs to do nothing and trust the people he's hired to do their thing. Because no matter how much he thinks he knows, he doesn't. He knows a lot of things about hedge funds, doesn't know what nearly he thinks he knows about running a football team. And the more he stays out of it, Peter, the better suited this team will be to reach whatever the ceiling is for Bryce Young. We don't know what the ceiling is. We just need circumstances where he can try to get there.
No question about it. And look, I thought when they hired Frank Reich and paired him with Josh McCown in particular, I thought that was an absolute perfect pairing for a young quarterback. And the reason why is Josh McCown has been everywhere. He's been on whatever 10 or 11 teams in his career. He is a great confidant for a young quarterback. And Frank Reich, he's always going to put his arm around you and say, hey, listen, it's going to be okay. We're going to be fine. We're going to get it fixed. He did it going back to Carson Wentz. I mean, he's done it in his career, and he's been very good at it. And so the one thing that the book on Dave Canales is absolutely needed in this case, you hear about him and you hear teacher, and you hear patience. He's an optimistic person with an excellent personality to be a teacher, and his patience with his players. You go back to Pete Carroll, that's one of the words he uses, a patient teacher, you know. And to me, that is what is urgently needed here. And Dan Morgan's job right now, number one, nothing else is close. His job, number one, is to make sure that that offensive line is at least an average offensive line next year, instead of a bottom-of-the-barrel offensive line that is going to chase your quarterback from Charlotte to Tallahassee.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.